So Elon is not happy right now. He did not like the big, beautiful bill. I just read the 10 talking points, the 10 basic bullet points on the thing. I think it's pretty damn good. Not thrilled with the budget stuff either, or the increase of the deficit, but it kind of is what it is. So now what has sort of fueled this? Well, let's jump back to February, just a couple months ago. Here's Elon talking to Sean Hannity about the deficit and how important he felt cutting the deficit was.
I really want to emphasize to people that this is a very important point. If we don't solve the deficit, there won't be money for medical care. There won't be money for Social Security. We either solve the deficit, or all we'll be doing is paying debt. It's got to be solved, or there's no medical care, there's no Social Security, there's no nothing. It's got to be solved. It's not optional. America will go bankrupt if this is not done. That's why I'm here.
The president, Europe takes advantage of this.
And I'd like to also just send a message to, because as the president said, there's a lot of rich people out there. They should be caring more about the country, because the reason they should be caring more about the country is if America falls, what do you think is going to happen to your business? What do you think? Do you think you're going to be okay if the ship of America sinks? Of course not. What I'm doing here, what the president's doing, is it's just long-term thinking. The ship of America must be strong. The ship of America cannot sink. If it sinks, we all sink with it.
Okay, so that's an interesting video, even body language, and there's a little talking over each other, and you can see that they don't necessarily see eye to eye on absolutely everything, right? Elon was basically a kind of default setting lefty, came around to the Trump thing, all of that, came in doing all this stuff with Doge, Trump giving him unbelievable authority to clean things up. He does a bang up job of doing it. You can see what he cares about most there. Now, Trump, from a different perspective, he's now the president of the United States. He has to try to figure out a whole lot of things. Elon is kind of laser focused on deficit reduction, right? And that's good, that's fine. Trump is trying to do let's say a panoply of things, right? With tax cuts and building the wall and everything else. So they may not, or it's not even may not, they don't see exactly eye to eye on the role of government right at this very moment. But the key part is, do they both love the country? Obviously. Is there a reason that the force kind of drew them together over the last 2 years? Clearly. And the question is, how do we hold that thing? Well, it's going to be a little bit tough. So now let me get you caught up over the last couple days. This is a June 30th tweet from Elon. If this, and this is obviously from before the bill got passed. If this insane spending bill passes, the America Party will be formed the next day. Our country needs an alternative to the Democrat-Republican uniparty so the people can actually have a voice. Now let me follow up with another tweet by Elon. It is obvious with the insane spending of this bill, which increases the debt ceiling by a record $5 trillion, that we live in a one-party country, the Porky Pig Party. Time for a new political party that actually cares about the people. And then he continued on the Twitter machine. And this was on July 4th. Independence Day is the perfect time to ask you if you want independence from the two-party, some would say uniparty system. Should we create an America Party? And you can see 65% of the people said yes, 34% no. Now, I should note, that's with about 1.2 million votes on X. We have no idea how many of those people are real and not bots. We have no idea how many of them are actually American citizens or anything else. And it's not a huge sampling, right? We have about 350 million people in this country. However, Elon saw the results on that. They went the way he wanted. And he wrote this: by a factor of 2 to 1, you want a new political party and you shall have it. When it comes to bankrupting our country with waste and graft, we live in a one-party system, not a democracy. Today, the America Party is formed to give you back your freedom. And then he wrote this also to explain a little bit more on the sort of granular specifics of how he would operate this new party. He said one way to execute on this would be to laser focus on just 2 or 3 Senate seats and 8 to 10 House districts. Given the razor-thin legislative margins, that would be enough to serve as the deciding vote on contentious laws, ensuring that they will serve the true will of the people. Now, we'll get into Trump's response in just a second. But Connor, can you put that tweet back up for a second? Because it's interesting that he's sort of showing you the playbook right now. What he wants to do is, he's not saying I have to create a party that will be as big as the Democrat Party or as big and influential as the Republican Party. What he's saying is, if I can basically not steal, but if I can take a couple senators, we can win a couple Senate seats here and a few more House seats over here. In essence, what you could do is sort of change us a bit more instead of in a two-party system, which is what we are, whether you like it or not. Yes, we've got the useless Libertarian Party and a couple other Green Party and some marginal other stuff. But if you could inject enough cash and get enough momentum behind a third party, that it doesn't have to be huge, it just has to be enough to grab a couple people, because we know that all of our votes come down to razor-thin margins, right? So then you could have an extraordinary amount of power by just controlling a few seats. Now, in some sense, I could see why that is actually good for a party. Boy, you don't have to do a lot in some way, but you're ultimately the spoiler. So you get a lot of power, and you could probably get a lot of concessions from people along the way. Free speech is under attack, but Rumble refuses to back down. We've always believed in empowering voices no matter how unpopular, and now we're taking that fight to the next level. When major advertisers conspired to pull their dollars, even brands like Dunkin' Donuts turned their backs, claiming Rumble had a right-wing culture. But we're not here to fit a mold, we're here to defend free expression. To strengthen this mission, we're excited to offer Rumble Premium, a completely ad-free experience with exclusive benefits for viewers and creators. You'll find exclusive content from creators like Russell Brand, Dr. Disrespect, Timcast, and the Mug Club with Crowder. It's more than a subscription, it's a stand for free speech. Your voice matters. Join Rumble Premium. For a limited time, you can get $10 off an annual plan using promo code Rubin. Visit rumble.com/premium/Rubin and claim your discount today. Together, we can turn the tide. Whether you join Rumble Premium or simply keep watching, your support helps keep free speech alive. Now, of course, the other side of that is what most of Europe has, which is when you create these coalition governments, these tiny parties that join coalitions end up with huge amount of power, because every time something controversial is about to be passed, they can be like, all right, we're getting out of here. A great example of this is what's going on right now in the Netherlands, because Geert Wilders, who ran on a very similar to Donald Trump policy and has very similar hair, he got into a coalition government with leftist parties. And then basically they were like, sorry, you're not going to kick anybody out. We're not going to protect our borders or anything else. And he had to collapse his government. So in some sense, I get Elon's angle here, but you might be careful with what you're trying to do, because if you kind of fracture the Republican Party, because anyone that's going to go to this America Party is going to come from the Republicans, right? It's not coming from the Democrats want to destroy the country. They're not for America at this point. So who are you peeling off? Are you peeling off? If your whole thing is the deficit, is there some Democrat out there that's like, I'm on board all of this crazy stuff, but we just spend too much. I'm joining the America Party. No, you're going to get the libertarian wing of the Republican Party, thus fracturing the Republican Party, leaving us with Democrats. Ugh. This is what Donald Trump had to say about it on Truth. I'm saddened to watch Elon Musk go completely off the rails, essentially becoming a train wreck over the past 5 weeks. He even wants to start a third political party, despite the fact that they have never succeeded in the United States. The system seems not designed for them. The one thing third parties are good for is the creation of complete and total disruption and chaos, and we've had enough of that with the radical left Democrats who have lost their confidence and their minds. Republicans, on the other hand, are a smooth-running machine that just passed the biggest bill of its kind in the history of our country. It's a great bill, but unfortunately for Elon, it eliminates the ridiculous electric vehicle mandate, which would have forced everyone to buy an electric car in a short period of time. I've been strongly opposed to this from the very beginning. People are now allowed to buy whatever they want, gasoline-powered, hybrids, which are doing very well, or new technologies as they come about. No more EV mandate. I've campaigned on this for 2 years, and quite honestly, when Elon gave me his total and unquestioned endorsement, I asked him whether or not he knew that I was going to terminate the EV mandate. It was in every speech I made and in every conversation I had. He had no problems with that, and I was very surprised. Additionally, Elon asked that one of his close friends run NASA, and while I thought his friend was very good, I was surprised to learn that he was a blue-blooded Democrat who had never contributed to a Republican before. Elon probably was also. I also thought it inappropriate that a very close friend of Elon, who is in the space business, run NASA when NASA is such a big part of Elon's corporate life. My number one charge is to protect the American people. Okay, so let's sort of get rid of the stuff at the end there, which is like a little insider stuff, and who knows about this NASA guy. But okay, so then either this comes down to purely the deficit stuff, or what Trump is sort of more so implying there is that this is really about getting rid of the EV mandate, and that's going to hurt Tesla and whatever. look, I don't know what the truth is. I believe Elon when he says that his number one priority is the deficit. You can hear him in that moment in the Oval Office, like the care in his voice about what would happen if we just become an endless debtor nation, how it's not good for anybody.